Now it's time for news review, and I'm joined by one senator for Homa Bay, that is Moses Kajwang. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. And former senator of Kakamega, and also the deputy party leader of Fort Kenya.
Yes.
That is Boni Halwale.
Why are you hesitant?
Don't worry. Good to see you. It's been a long time since I saw you on this show. We have not interacted, but karibu sana. Bado tuko.
Asante.
And I want to start with the development that we saw in court yesterday. Of course, we don't want to go into the particular matters of the case, and that is the freeing of Governor Okoth Obado, the Migori governor, in relation to the case that he is facing, the murder of Sharon Otieno and the baby of Sharon Otieno. And he has been released. Of course, he's still in custody waiting to fully process his bail terms. But we see a governor sort of now very restrained in terms of where he can go, where he cannot go, especially that fact that he cannot get into Homa Bay town within a radius, or rather Homa Bay county within a radius of 20 kilometers. And of course, the other conditions that have been set on his release. I just don't know how this impacts on his service delivery in Migori County.
This is a matter that is sitting on a very thin and very sharp edge. In one comment, you can please a lot of people, and in the same comment, annoy a lot of people. So I want to say, let justice be served to both parties. It would be unfair to support the freedom of Obado if indeed he was involved in the loss of life of the young lady. But similarly, it would be unfair to assume that he's guilty until there is evidence to that effect. But looking at what has finally happened, I think the police is doing a very shoddy job. You cannot keep a governor or any accused person behind the bars under the current constitution. And then on the day he is being given bail, you are told on the front page
of the Daily Nation
that the hunt for the killers has now been expanded to Uganda. Does this mean that they don't have the killers in their custody? And even if the governor has something to do with it, why not conclude the investigations and then arrest him? Finally, the orders. I find it difficult to interpret them, but my understanding is that I don't know whether the judge, when she went into court, she was hearing the heart of the judges who were in South Africa during the days of apartheid, when they were banning people. This to me amounts to banning him, but it is futile because with the current development in communication, including telephony, FM stations, WhatsApp, and vibrant social media, you can actually, and even doing teleconferencing, you can do very many things in a different place, even when you are not there. So it's a futile order.
Well, but of course, part of the other orders were that he is barred from making any contact with the family of Sharon Otieno, from relating with witnesses, relating with family members, in as far as this case is concerned. But still, my question remains, the counties of Nyanza region, they're interdependent in terms of transport and communication. And for instance, you may need to go to Migori, you might need to access through Homa Bay. So how does he ensure that he's not within a radius of 20 kilometers of the boundary into Homa Bay and still get to Migori and operate peacefully?
Well, the presumption of innocence until guilt is proven still holds, because even though the matters, a lot of issues have been prosecuted in the media and the public domain, or the prosecution has attempted to make its case in court, it is still considered that Obado is innocent until those charges against him are confirmed. The newspapers report that Obado was charged on 24th of September, and today is 25th of October, which means that he has spent more than one month in remand. And his co-accused have been remanded until next year, the two persons. And we have said this on this show before, that the problem with our correctional services and criminal justice system is in the remands. That is where you have a lot of people sitting in there because of shoddy investigations, shoddy prosecution, or bail or bond terms that are unsustainable. And so it's something, it's just adding on to the problem that we already have, that we've got a remand system that is overpopulated, and we are adding on to the numbers. The issues around transport and interdependence of the counties cannot be underestimated. I know Governor Obado because being a governor and I being a senator of a neighboring county, we have interacted many times at official and at personal levels. And I know that often when it comes to Nairobi, it flies through the airstrip that is in Homa Bay, because the airstrip in Migori does not have commercial flights. So quite a number of times we have flown together from Nairobi to Homa Bay or from Homa Bay to Nairobi. It is going to impair his movement. If you look at the geography, for you to move from Migori town to Kisumu, you have to go through Homa Bay County. That will affect him. Obviously, there are alternative routes through Kisii or other alternative routes, or he might resort to hiring helicopters or hiring aircraft, because you cannot envisage a situation where for a year a governor would just be contained within his county. The governors also sometimes have, as part of their job description, they are required to interact and relate with the colleague governors. And I do not imagine a situation where through these orders we would want to contain Obado within Migori without strictly, getting out. I believe that there are options. You can go through Kisii, you can use aircraft. It is just unfortunate that as a result of these court orders, if there are matters to do with relationships between Kisii and Homa Bay and Migori counties, it would be very difficult for Governor Obado to come to Homa Bay. For example, right now, we are having some discussions between Kenya and Uganda on security in the lake. In fact, early in the week, we had a delegation that came from Uganda for us to discuss those cross-border issues. Migingo Island exists in Migori County, and this meeting is being held in Homa Bay town. You would have expected the governor of Migori to join the governor of Homa Bay and the rest of the leaders in discussing the issues affecting fisherfolk, when the fisherfolk from Uganda have also come into Homa Bay. So there will be some limitations to his duties and role as a governor.
And by the way, is it clear, I've not gone through the whole story, is it clear whether when the judge was giving those orders, it is upon application from the prosecution? If it is the prosecution that applied that please give us these kind of orders, if indeed the prosecution did, then they were admitting that they are not on top of things. They are actually fumbling. And for argument's sake, Kajwang is my good neighbor in the cultural sense. And I know that in the culture, when you lose your child, you bury that child. Supposing Obado chooses to say, I want to go and bury my child.
Well, unfortunately, the court has made itself very clear that there has to be no relations between the governor and family of the late Sharon Otieno. But you raised an important issue about the remandees that are still in custody. And I remember a few weeks ago when the Chief Justice was attending a function at Nakuru JK prison, he was saying that at that time there were 906 inmates in the remand. And the total population of the prison is 1,800. So you can see over 50% of the inmates, they are remandees. And he was saying that they're going to review the bail terms for these inmates because some of them, they're slightly too high for the accused persons to afford them. Some of them are just complicated. So how do we deal with this matter so that we do not overpopulate our prisons and yet these people might actually be set free at the end of the day?
When Bonnie raised the newspaper and talking about the hunt now moving to Uganda and Tanzania, I mean, it's just ridiculous that all these days, and we have noted that Obado was charged on 24th. Yes. Today is 25th of the following month. Yes. It has been 1 month. And this was an issue. I remember when the DCI moved into the scene, they promised us that this is a matter that we will resolve within 3 to 5 days. It is now 30 days plus.
Yes.
And now we are chasing people into Tanzania and Uganda. That is a problem with the remandees. Shoddy investigations and prosecution moving to court even before they have secured sufficient evidence to convict someone.
Right.
That needs to change. The investigators must do their bit, and the prosecutors must go to court when they are satisfied that there is sufficient evidence to sustain a charge. That has been missing. Sometimes you get the feeling that the investigators and prosecutors are also playing to the public gallery. Because the public is demanding blood, sometimes they're very quick to say that we hereby give you blood. But the judiciary, as in terms of improving its stature and its image, the judiciary has also insisted that bring before us evidence that can stand trial. And that has not affected not just murder cases and criminal cases, it has also affected corruption cases. We are also looking at even things like the Kenya Power matter, where you are being told that there are some files that cannot be found.
Right.
So there are some gaps in investigations, there are some gaps in prosecutions. Holding these two gentlemen in remand until next year might satisfy those who want blood. But remember, the two gentlemen, we don't know whether they were involved. We have been told they were involved, but it has not been confirmed through that judicial process. They too have certain rights. And I believe that that now needs to be balanced. The police and the prosecutors need to hasten their investigations, so that it does not have to be sometime next year. Sometime next year could be the same time next year. We could be talking of 13 months down the line. I think we need to balance between the need to expedite some of these issues and the need to uphold the rights of the persons who have been put in the dock.
There's also some small matter that is worrying me, i.e., could it be that this is a confirmation that the judiciary has lost its independence, that a political interest in this highly sensitive matter could have been the reason why Obado was being held, and when the political process that was in Migori came to an end, they have now found it nice and tidy for him to be released? The judiciary needs to be a bit clearer. Perception is there.
It cannot be ignored. All right. So, of course, the matter continues. There will be the pre-trial conference on the 14th of February. That is on the...
You know, what it raises should not go unexamined. Not unchallenged. I don't want to challenge it, but I want to examine it.
Okay.
Because I was in Migori during the political process that Bonnie alludes to. And last week, the new senator for Migori, Oyamo, took his oath of office, and this week he made his maiden speech, and was part of the team that went out there to assist him in campaigns. And there was this perception that the team behind Ochilo could have been the team behind the troubles facing Obado, and nothing can be further from the truth. As I have mentioned before, that my position as senator for Homa Bay and Obado as governor for Migori, we relate a lot at official and personal levels.
Sure.
When we went there, it was for a political mission rather than for a personal witch hunt. And I want to assure the people of Migori, and particularly those who still feel endeared to Governor Obado, that what we did during the campaigns was to confirm a senator who would work hand in hand when it is required, and who would also take a firm position when required, to ensure that the issues and reports that are coming out of Migori, of siphoning of funds, of governance, of integrity, those issues are brought to the fore. We had absolutely nothing to do, and we had absolutely no powers to influence the judiciary. So we must exonerate the judiciary from the political process that was going on.
I do take your avowment very positively, but you remind me of a traditional cartoon that is called Inzika Moholo. Inzika Moholo is tied on the toes of the player, and when he taps his thighs, it plays the way he wants. So if you're young, you would think that Inzika Moholo is playing, when actually the guy playing is the guy controlling it using his thighs. You might as well have been the puppet when the actual mover of the interests that I have referred to, and this is very serious in this country, was the one who was playing you.
Well, it would be quite unfortunate for us, a former senator, to refer to a current senator as a puppet.
No, I didn't mean you are a puppet, in a puppet-like.
Yes, in a metaphorical manner. Okay, all right. Of course, the prosecution will have its day. The defense will have their day also when the case begins. The pretrial conference, as I said, is on the 14th of February next year, and then the case will be heard between the 6th and 17th of May. Hopefully that it will be concluded within those days, and the investigating team will have an opportunity to tie the loose ends that are still existing.